Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome to Posy Lane. So today we're going to be making some wall decor for Valentine's Day. And when I think about Valentine's Day, I think about hearts and candy and flowers. And so I'm going to be doing two of those things in the theme for today. We're going to actually be making like a heart wall decor with these really pretty roses. When I went to the Dollar Tree, I was looking around trying to get some inspiration for what I could do for something that I could hang up. And I immediately saw this when I went to the Valentine section and thought, this is perfect to do something with, but I wasn't sure exactly what to do. And so I started looking for some flowers and I didn't see anything there, but then I went to Walmart and I found these really pretty like blush pink roses. And I was like, I know that I could probably put these all over and it would look so pretty. And I want to add a little bit more to it besides just the roses. So I also got some greenery to kind of elevate it and make it look a little bit even more elegant. Because what says Valentine's Day more than like elegance and beauty and like roses? I don't know what else does. So I can't wait to put this all together and for you to join me. To make the heart wall decor, obviously you're going to need some kind of form or heart to glue everything to. And we're going to be using hot glue, and I just don't have my hot glue gun out yet, but you'll need some hot glue too. And I really like this heart. It's not too thick, so it shouldn't be too heavy to use for the wall, and I think it will work perfect for what we're needing. For the flowers, I found these at Walmart, and believe it or not, each bunch was only 97 cents. And I bought, I think, 5 different bunches, and hopefully that will cover all of the empty space on here. I also got some greenery because I always like to have a little bit of greenery as a base layer, and I got these 2 different bunches of lamb's wool also at Walmart in their floral section. And then the last thing I got was some filler, and this is I don't even know technically what this is supposed to be, but I really loved the little kind of neutral color of all this different green and these like berries, and so I think that would be great to add, you know, wherever there's maybe some bald spots. So that is all you need to get this going. I started with the lamb's ear, and when I use greenery like this, I'm planning to take it all off. I usually see if I can just pull it off instead of having to cut it all off. And this was really easy just to pull off each leaf. And I always start with greenery. It's something I learned when I worked at a flower shop, that you really kind of want the greenery laid out and kind of make it look like a bush first, and then you go on with your other flowers. So that's why I'm starting with the lamb's ear. I decided I wanted to lay the lamb's ear down first, and I'm going to use it kind of as a border all around the heart. So I wanted to lay that down first before I glued it because I don't know exactly how I'm placing it, and I want to make sure that I cover all of the wood and you don't really see it. And what I noticed with the leaves is that you can kind of lay some of the leaves were bigger, and so I kind of used those as a base for the underneath, and then I used some of the ones that had a couple leaves to like a stem over the top of those. And so that way there wasn't any wood showing, and it should look really full. Once I laid all the leaves out the way I liked them, then it was time to hot glue it down. And so what I did was I did all of them in sections, so I didn't kind of forget where the placement was. So it just took off a few of the leaves, and I used a generous amount of hot glue, and I'm starting to lay the leaves down. And so I used the bigger leaves first and laid those down, and then I used the ones that had a couple to like a stem on top of those and made sure that it looked full before I went on to the next section. And I just went all the way around doing that method. I now started on the roses, and if you notice these roses, the main part that looks fake is the leaves, so I didn't use that at all. I'm just using the blooms, and like the other ones, I can just take them straight off without having to cut them. So that's what I did with all 5 bushes, was I just took all the blooms off of the bush, and that's the part that I'm going to use. For the roses, I decided not to just lay them down, but actually to start hot gluing them more and just hot glue as I went, because they had like a tip to them that was kind of more pointy, so it wasn't like they would just sit there very well. So what I did was I just started filling in the empty spaces, and I tried to make sure that it was going to fill in and look like the shape of a heart as I went. And so as I was ready to start with the hot gluing, I just made sure to put a lot of hot glue on the tip. If you can kind of see where the tip is, I just put a ton of hot glue on that and then placed it down just to make sure that it's going to stay and it will be secure. And so that's what I did with each rose, was just put a lot of hot glue on it and secure it. And as I went, I made sure that it was really filling in the empty spaces and it was making a heart shape with the roses. The blush color of these roses really reminds me of my wedding flowers. So I decided, because I had done flowers before, that I was going to use silk to do all of my wedding flowers. And I did them in like a blush pink and a champagne kind of creamy color and then red. And it looked really, really pretty all together. But what's crazy about my wedding is that we actually got married in the middle of a snowstorm, or was it an ice storm? I think it was an ice storm, really, in Georgia. And everything normally just shuts down in Georgia. So if I hadn't made my own flowers, I probably wouldn't have even had flowers for my wedding. So in hindsight, I'm so glad that I decided to make my own flowers. And the other thing about that is we were supposed to have like 190 guests at our wedding, and 100 of those people couldn't even show up because they couldn't make it to the church where we got married. So it's just amazing that even 90 people showed up for our wedding. And we're about to celebrate our 17th anniversary, so it's really making me think about that right now. When you had your wedding, or if you're planning a wedding, or if you're thinking about it in the future, what kind of colors do you have in mind for your wedding, or that you already had? Once I got towards the end of putting in all the roses that I thought I needed, I started to kind of look for where there were maybe like bald spots, and started to try to see where maybe a few more blooms should go. And I just kind of would stick it in there and see if it would look better if I added one, and then I would add it where I felt like it was needed. And I added maybe 2 or 3 blooms like that, just to make sure that it had the heart shape that I was going for, and that there weren't really any weird bald spots or empty spaces, that it all really looked really pretty and full. It was now time to add the filler greenery, kind of like, I don't know what you call this, kind of like berries and other greens. And again, with this one, I noticed I could pull everything off, so I didn't have to cut anything off of the bush. I just pulled it all off the bush, and I'll use the different pieces to make it look more full. With the filler, I noticed that there's a lot of different leaf shapes and sizes and colors, and there's also some berries. And so I want to place it first and make sure that I have it all like spread evenly throughout the arrangement. I don't want like all of one type of foliage to be in one section and then it to not really be on the other different parts of the heart. So that's why I decided to place it all first, just like I did with the lamb's ear, and then I'm going to hot glue it, because I don't really 100% sure know how I'm going to put it all in. And when I originally bought this, I had thought about putting it as a filler in between the roses, but when I looked to do that, I realized it didn't look good, and it really looked better if I just placed it on top of the lamb's ear and made the outer rim look a lot more fuller and a lot prettier. So that's what I ended up doing, was just adding it to the outer rim and making that part just have even more interest to it and more texture, and another layer on top of that lamb's ear. When I felt like I was happy with where everything was, I started hot gluing it, and I did the same method I did with everything else, where I just used a ton of hot glue as I was putting it in, and I would take it out in sections, the different greenery and berries, and then put it back in with a hot glue, and then I'd work on the next section. So that way I didn't forget kind of where the placement was of everything, and I didn't have all of it out again. I really liked where I had placed it, and I didn't want to lose that train of thought. So that's why I just worked in little bits by little bits until I got it all hot glued and secure on the arrangement. One thing I've learned from doing arrangements is that you need like 3 basic things for an arrangement to look good. You need greenery, which is what I put down first, and you want that to look really full and kind of like a bush, and then that's kind of your foundation for the rest of the arrangement. And then you need a focal flower. You need that wow, like maybe some color or something that will add interest and usually is bigger. So that was my roses for this arrangement. And then you need a filler, which is what I'm adding now. And you need that really to help make it look more full and to make it have more interest and more texture and to fill in those spots where it maybe kind of looks bald, but it doesn't need to be like the main player or the main attraction or take away from the focal flower. So those are the 3 things that you need for an arrangement. I really love how this turned out. I can't wait to hang it on my wall. And sometimes when you make something like this, in your head you have an idea of how it's going to look, but you're not really sure, like, is this going to look good or not? And this was kind of one of those situations for me where I'm like, I hope I can pull this off and make it look good. And honestly, like, I love how it looks. It just looks so pretty to me. And I think this would be great, you know, for Valentine's Day as a decoration, but it would also work for maybe like a bridal shower or maybe a baby shower where it's for a baby girl that's coming, or even at a wedding, like for decor. Like, this is just so elegant and pretty, and I may keep it out longer than just for Valentine's Day, honestly, because I love how all the contrast of the flowers and the greenery, it just came together really beautifully. Thank you guys so much for joining me this week. I had so much fun making this, and I can't wait till next week and our next craft.